Life can be fun and rewarding, but it also comes with some risk. As in business, you win some, you lose some. And that's why you need to be wise in the choices you make. It's like placing a bet. Again, you need to be wise. Wise in choosing an innovative platform with the highest market options and highest odds ever. That's why Winners Golden Bet, the leader in online, in-shop, virtual, and live sports betting, gives you enhanced platforms that offer you the best chances of winning. For betting on live soccer matches, live dog races, and virtual games. Winners Golden Bet is your best bet. Instant payment of winnings guaranteed. Play online or in any of our numerous shops nearest to you.
Hey guys, be wise. Play on Winners Golden Bet.
Winners Golden Bet, the wise choice.
Welcome to Ladies Talking Business. I'm your host, Moremi Akon. Our guest today is the lead photographer at Mimi Creations Studio, a child photography business that was birthed about 7 years ago. She has a theatrical background with first degree in performing arts from the University of Ilorin, after which she bagged a master's in theater art from the University of Lagos. She is currently running a doctorate degree in theater art at the University of Ilorin. She has worked in the media industry with portfolios ranging from production assistant, content scheduler to channel manager for about 7 years before she set out to do photography. Our guest is Marianne Aboshi. Thanks for joining us on the show today, Marianne.
Thank you for having me.
Great. So why did you carve a niche for yourself in child photography? Because I know working with children is not the easiest thing to do.
Okay, so apparently I didn't even intend to do photography at all. And at the time when I was to have my second child, and I had a friend who was into photography, and my sister also was a photographer. And those were the major two influences. And although they were not into child photography, they were doing regular events, studio portraits and all that. But I think child photography came to me naturally because I had two little kids, and as at the time I didn't have a studio and I just resigned from my last job. So I was just using my kids to take pictures and learn whatever I was being taught. And I think that was how gradually I grew to love shooting children.
Interesting. So what makes the experience different with children? I mean, compared to adults? You know, with adults, you just say, oh, sit, turn this way, and they turn. Let's talk about the experience with children.
Okay, for children, it's pretty amazing. You're working with innocent people. They are not going to stress you. Okay, maybe for me, they don't stress me because I'm used to having children around. And then for adults, you can say, okay, I'm taking this picture. I want my waist slim. I want my boobs bigger. I want to look taller and all of that. You don't have all of that with children. You just shoot them the way they are.
But how about getting them to stay put?
Oh, it's a lot of dancing and playing and singing songs and rhymes and all of that. It's usually very much fun working with them.
Well, I'm surprised that you find it easier working with children. Okay, actually, let me ask you, do you find it easier working with children than
adults? Yes, I do find it easier working with children because adults and drama. With children, you don't have any form of drama. It's just innocent conversations and playful times and all of that. So it's not complex.
And are they usually camera ready?
No. Except the older ones. So when you have children from, say, the age of 4, 5, 6, 7, those ones, they've planned out their shoots. They know what they want to do. They know what they want to look like. They know how they want to pose. I want to be like Princess Elsa. I want to be like any of the Frozen characters or any character that they already admire on TV, Barbie and the rest. So for the older ones, most times they are camera ready and they know what they want to do. But for the younger ones, it's moments. We just capture moments. We might be lucky to get smiles, we might be lucky to get giggles at some point, we might be lucky to get them in a very playful state. So
Amazing.
that's how it is with kids.
Okay, so what are some of the points to note before going into the business of photography?
First of all, I think you need to have an eye for photography, because a lot of people think that photography is a job where if you probably don't make it in school, maybe you are a dropout, you just pick a camera and start shooting. Or sometimes people feel it's, when I started photography, when people come to my studio, they're like, okay, how come a woman and a woman that looks quite okay, how come she's doing photography? It almost looks like it's a line of work for the less privileged or for people who did not make it academically or did not get all company jobs and all of that. So I believe you have to have an eye for photography, and you have to be passionate about photography. Once you have those two, the next thing is for you to learn. You need to learn and keep learning. There's no stopping points, because new technologies come out every day, new styles of lighting, new equipment to make your work better. They come out every day, so you have to keep learning. Even when you have the passion for it, you don't just stop at that point. You have to keep looking out to see what more you can do to make your brand grow.
Yeah, because photography has evolved. If you look at photos from 10 years ago, there's a difference between photos from that era to this era. So it keeps changing.
Yes, it keeps changing. Photography has really, really grown. So I used to tell people that photographers are in two categories. You have the people who want to just be shooting and shooting. We call them photographers of numbers, meaning I have a studio, anybody can walk in at any time and pay a certain amount of money and take a picture. Then we have those of us that are luxury photographers, the ones that you have to have a booking. You don't just walk into my studio and say you want to shoot. All of that was not there, say like 10, 15 years ago, because photography was basically you having a studio, people walking at any time, you quickly take a shot and probably even give them pictures immediately and all of that. So photography has evolved over the years, and I think we're on the good side of photography.
Okay, so what do you think is the future of photography in Nigeria?
Okay, so with the advent of very smartphones, like the iPhone 13s and all, I think people who do what I call the regular photography would need to really sit up. If not,
they're out of business.
Yes, in like 2-3 years, you won't have people taking pictures like that again. And people at this point are beginning to see those of us that we call ourselves the luxury photographers, as because you cannot bring me a picture from your phone. You can never compare your picture from your phone to what I would shoot you, because yes, it is going to be different. It's going to be different.
So there's going to be more professionalism.
Yes,
in
more
yours.
professionalism with mine. So I'm not scared of being chased out of business, because constantly I work towards getting better at what I'm doing and not being on the wrong side.
Yeah, I completely agree
so to
with you.
speak.
But we'll speak more about this after the break. We will go on a quick break. Please stay with us.
How can we have peace without justice?
Plus politics. It's not just another political conversation, it's about keeping you in the know. The relevant interviews, asking the tough questions to those that matter. Get the answers you need. Does it mean that the people who were injured, people who were shot at, those who were involved in that stampede are not going to get justice?
It is unfortunate, it is sad that we have a government of deaf and dumb.
Analysis from top experts.
The last election was not really an election.
We feel that Obasanjo has a very special place in his heart for hating Ijaw people?
I think it really boils down to two things. One, trust and accountability.
Plus Politics, every weeknight at 7 p.m. on Plus TV Africa.
Thanks for staying with us. This is still Ladies Talking Business, and our guest is Marianne Aboshi, founder, Mimi Creations Studio. All right, Marianne, let's talk about some of the strategies that you have devised to help you work with children. You know, we were talking earlier about how it can be, especially with the much younger ones. So what has worked for you in this business?
Okay, so over the years, we've come to realize I've been able to grow a team that works brilliantly with me to make this whole process very seamless as it seems. Because people look on my Instagram page or on my website and they're like, this child is smiling. I want my child to look like this when we take a picture. And I'm like, no child looks like this when you take a picture. It might be after like 10, 15, 20 shots that we get that one lucky shot. But I have a team of staff that assist that are very child-friendly. They play with the children. Immediately the children come into the studio, we don't just start shooting. We first try to get them to acclimatize to the place. We ask their parents what they like. Do they like certain songs? Do they like nursery rhymes? Do they want to watch cartoon or any of those? So we get to know the child, first of all, when the child comes in, and then we start relating with the child. Whoever among the team clicks with the child first.
The person takes.
Yes, the person takes charge. And usually, we are 3, so the guy in my system is the one who usually gets that click. Almost every child that comes in wants to play with him. And then once that happens, it's very easy on my side. So I just have to stay and be shooting pictures while he and the other person are playing. So first of all, they come in, we get to know them, we get to know what they like. We try to do what they like and see how they can get used to the environment before we start taking pictures. And over the years, it has worked. It has worked. It always works.
Interesting. So how can one stand out in this photography industry and also remain profitable? You know, the goal of every business to make profit. So how can I ensure I'm making profit in this industry?
Okay, so to stay in business and to make profit in photography, in child photography, like I said earlier in the first segment, you have to keep learning. You have to keep learning because there are a lot of when I started photography, there were not so many child photographers. There were a very few. I could actually count everybody who was doing child photography. But right now, the numbers are endless. And if you want to stay relevant, you have to keep being at the top of your game. Meaning you have to keep learning, you have to go for workshops, you have to keep trying new things to make you stay afloat and stay unique in the business because so many people are doing really pretty pictures and you have to just keep being a step ahead by learning new ideas for setups, learning new ideas to bring in clients, learning new ideas or learning about new equipment or new things or new plugins you can use on your system to make the pictures look exceptionally unique so that people will keep coming over. And if you have people coming over consistently, most definitely you meet your profit margin every year, every business year.
I agree. And about those people who come in consistently, how do you try to keep them?
My studio, once you come in, if you come to visit me when I have a client, you actually think that I've known the client since. So we have this very friendly atmosphere. And when you come in, we start talking. I always make sure that I leave an impression. You don't just come in and take pictures. I'm not one of those photographers that you come to the studio and they're all serious and they're all, okay, let's take this picture. When you come in, we'll play, we'll gist, I'll yab you. So there's no, when you're leaving, you leave with an impression that you've made a friend. So even if you don't intend to come back, if you came not intending to come back, by the time you are leaving, we're already friends. You don't even have an option. You have to come back. We will deliver great pictures. So we have the customer friendliness and we have the quality of images that you're looking for. So sure, you're not going anywhere.
Amazing. So let's talk about this interesting bit that people usually have so much to talk about. Challenges you faced. I saw that face coming. Let's talk about some of your challenges you faced running your business so far.
Okay, so I want to start from the beginning. When I started child photography, like I said, I started with my kids. They were really little, and I was learning. After learning from the guy who taught me, I would come back, because the guy who taught me was not into child photography. He was doing events and everything, so I self-taught myself child photography, from YouTube to subscribing to online foreign photographers online and following their tutorials and all. That's how I started doing child photography. Because when I started child photography, like I said earlier, there were just a few people. And when you reach out to people and say, please, I'm a child photographer. I'm trying to do child photography. Could you please, can I come over to your studio? I want to, how do you do your backgrounds? How do you? Nobody. It was a major challenge. And if not that I'm a very persistent person, I probably would have just stuck to doing events. Because at a point I was doing a lot of events and I was doing portraits since I couldn't figure out what they were doing in particular. Nobody was ready to teach anybody. Nobody was ready to teach anybody. It was a very big challenge. Thankfully, YouTube, foreign photographers who would give their tutorials out at a cost. I was doing all of that. And over time, I started understanding, and then I started being very creative. So when I see, for instance, backdrops that they use, I'm like, how did they get these backdrops? And I'm saying, okay, you have to probably go online and order it. It might take like 3 weeks or take 1 month to get to Nigeria and all of that. And then I came up with my own way of doing it. I improvised. Background. I have my background in theater arts. From set designs to costume to makeup to all the things you do to make believe, all the arts and acts of the theater. I have that as background. So it was really helpful in making me being creative and improvising on so many of those things. As time went on and I started becoming known, and other photographers would be, okay, there's a Mimi Creation somewhere. At that point, people started opening up. But already... It was too late. You already gathered the knowledge. It was too late. So it was really, really challenging. Another challenging part of photography. Back then, maybe 5 years ago, photography was better in terms of costs. It wasn't so expensive to get a gear. It wasn't so expensive to get lights or to get memory cards or any of the things that you need. But now, dollar, Lord. If you are starting photography now, you had better be related to a very rich, to be related to a very rich person. Because you cannot just get up from the streets and say you want to do photography right now. True. Because of how exchange rate has affected the cost of everything. A brand new camera, a fairly good brand new camera you would have bought like 2 years ago for 450K, you will get like for 700K, fairly used, not new anymore. Wow. So right now, it's a big challenge for, especially photographers that are just coming up. Luckily for me, I've gotten most of what I would need from the beginning pattern.
Wow. Well, we'll talk more about this after the break. More conversations with our guest coming up after the break.
Businesses in Africa can be very challenging. In Nigeria, it is particularly intimidating, and successful builders have learned how to navigate a hostile environment to unlock opportunities. But one major challenge businesses face is how to filter through the noise and identify where their ideal customers exist. Get insight and practical steps from industry players and captains of industries. Hear success stories to help you make informed decisions as you scale your business in Nigeria. Watch Business Insights at this time on Plus TV Africa.
I'm still here with Marianne of Mimi Creations Studio. So, Marianne, so you've been in this industry for 7 years and counting. What major improvements would you like to see in this industry?
Okay, so when you're talking about the industry, I'm thinking child photography,
Okay,
specifically.
okay, so you want to limit to child photography?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
So I would think maybe there should be a body of child photographers.
Is there a body of photographers, first of all?
No. Okay. But because child photographers were mostly female, so I'm sure something can be, we mostly know each other.
Then you guys should set up the body.
Mm-hmm. So, but it's not going to be me. I won't be the person to set it up, but it would be a good idea to have a body that sort of brings us together and help to learn from each other. I know the concept of learning from another photographer is almost impossible because everybody likes to kind of hide something. Okay, this is my strong point, this is my own style and all of that. But I think having a body that can help us to push things further and help other people grow, help us grow, those of us that think we're there per se, help us grow and help other people grow. I think it would be a fantastic idea.
Are you open to training people?
Yes, I do train people. Okay. I do train people already, so I'm open to training people.
Okay. So, major improvement, you like to have a body that regulates and trains and
yes,
oversees how child photography works.
Yes.
What else? Because most people, well, except you're very savvy, if you want to if you want to take photos of your kids, you probably would not even think of going to a child photographer. You just want to go to any photographer, right?
Yes, because until recently, many people did not understand why there should be a genre called child photography. Yeah. It took a lot of time and educating when clients come in and I say, I'm a child photographer. And they're like, okay, I don't understand. I want to take pictures of myself. I do take pictures of adults though, but I push out child photography because that is what I want to be my niche. Mm-hmm. That's why I don't push out adult pictures and all of that. But it took a lot of educating. And right now in Lagos especially, a lot of people know that there's a difference between a regular photographer and a child photographer. And some 3-4 years back, you will have to be explaining. I remember when I first got my studio, someone came in to make an inquiry, and the person asked, and I told the person I do child photography, and the person said, oh, you're not hungry yet. The person said it to you, but I said, when you're hungry, you will snap anything that you see. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know that was offensive to you.
Really?
So, yes, so I think it took a lot of educating, but now with Instagram and a lot of other platforms, so many people are seeing that there are actually people who do strictly children. And
they can actually see the difference.
And they can see the difference because a regular photographer, when you walk in, just wants to take your picture and you walk out. A child photographer is patient with you. Sometimes your child needs to sleep, they let your child sleep. Sometimes your child needs to eat, and maybe it takes like 20-30 minutes to feed the child and clean the child up, and a child photographer will wait for you. There's time for all of that. You can't get there anywhere.
So roughly how many hours does a session take for child photography?
So, all things being equal, 2 to 3 hours. All things being equal. Sometimes you will postpone the rest of the shoot till the next day or another free date that you have because the child is probably too cranky, or the child is running temperature, or the child is sleepy and all of that. So
I must commend your patience in all of this. Okay, so let's talk about photography. Can you tell us some interesting facts about photography that we laymen that are not into photography may not know about?
Okay, so one of it that usually cracks me up is if you notice older pictures, like say 80 years ago, kind of pictures, you will not catch any, you don't see any picture where somebody is smiling. And that is because then they used to use large format cameras to shoot. Okay. And those ones you can be in the process of shooting for the next 1 hour, you've not taken one picture. So you have to just stay still like this and not move. So you can imagine somebody having to smile for all of that period. And that's why if you look at very old pictures, you see that all of them have this straight face and they are all
like
very
there's
rigid.
A posture.
Yes, and then don't move.
Posture.
You can't move, because if you move, while the camera is trying to process the image, you distort it and you can now start getting blurry images. So sometimes you'll have to use a cape to hold them in one place. So that used to be very funny. I'm glad I was not in that age.
In that era.
Because I always tell my clients, smile, smile, please smile. So it won't have been funny. Then another thing. So many people used to feel that the left side of their face is their most flattering side. And that is because it is believed, or it has been researched, basically, that your left side intensifies more emotions. So if you're smiling, your smile looks better on this side. Right. So people generally just, this is my good side. This is not my good side, this is my good side.
Okay, yes. So which is my good side?
All sides. All sides. And okay, so another fact. Okay, photography it was gotten from the Greek word photographia, which meant drawing with light. And basically, that's what we do. So without light, you cannot shoot. You cannot take a good picture. So photography is basically using light to draw an image.
Okay, so your light is very important in photography.
Yes, not necessarily physical light.
It could be sunlight
or any source of light. Window, from your window, from any point. So light is key to photography.
Amazing, amazing. I've learned one or two things about photography and child photography today, Marianne. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for watching this episode of Ladies Talking Business. Do join us this same time next week for another episode. And don't forget to follow us on Plus TV Africa Lifestyle on YouTube to catch up with our programs. I am Moremi Akongo. Bye for now.
It's not just the parents that have to do this. We put a lot of emphasis on government, we put a lot of emphasis on schools, but the service sector is completely left out of this conversation, and it's really important because they touch the families every day.
When we are making intervention, at the back of our mind, that plan that you're drawing up should also say on X amount of times or hours, you as the parents have to have X number of training.
Not just about the training, okay? So as we're collecting data in the center, you're collecting data at home. We give you the exact same plan.
From my own experience is that the children are usually the best advocates.
Absolutely.
Because the children have been informed and they have also experienced it, we find that they tend to go home and tell their parents the appropriate things to do.
Hello and welcome to Space and Style, a property show designed to connect various stakeholders across the property value chain. We can also provide realistic solutions and deepen your knowledge about the interesting world of real estate. We shall showcase architectural design, interior design trends, lifestyle and real-time property news updates, and the right way to navigate through property development and investment. Join me every week on this channel as I take you through an exciting journey in the world of real estate.
Space and Style, 6:30 p.m. on Saturdays and 5:30 p.m. on Wednesdays.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the barbing, I pay my rent. I'm about to send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
I will do everything to take Lagos out of the national grid.
Increase the reach of your events or business services. To advertise on Plus TV Africa, please call 0906 000 5719 or 0909 040 8408 or send an email to marketing@plustvafrica.com. Plus TV Africa. Big stories live here.
Financial inclusion has been a great challenge across the world, especially in Africa, with great opportunities for financial services on the micro level. The value of point-of-sales transactions made in Nigeria jumped to 3.01 trillion naira in the first half of 2021, with a total volume of 462.11 million transactions in the same period. Now, these represent a 50% increase compared to the 2 trillion naira recorded in the corresponding period of 2020 and a 10.3% increase against 2.72 trillion naira recorded in the second half of 2020. However, stakeholders want the Association of Mobile Money and Bank Agents of Nigeria, AMBAN, to stem the rising trend of alleged POS customer data mining, which has led to people's money being stolen from their bank accounts. We will focus on these issues surrounding mobile money operations in Nigeria, the opportunities and the future of it. Welcome to Business Insights on Plus TV Africa. I am Justin Akadonye.
Writing an informal proposal. The thought of writing a proposal overwhelms many people, but the task does not have to be daunting. Informal proposals are written when people need to ask permission to make a purchase, undertake a project, or write a paper. This type of proposal is a way of persuasively putting forth an idea and asking for action to be taken on that idea. When writing a proposal, consider who will read the proposal and what that person may or may not already know about what you are proposing. Follow these steps when writing a proposal. 1. State your purpose. Do this clearly and concisely so that the reader knows immediately why you are writing. 2. Give some background information. Explain why you are proposing your suggestion so that the reader has a better understanding of the problem. 3. State a solution to the problem. This is where you give specifics about your suggestion. 4. Show costs. Lay out any costs that will be involved. 5. Conclusion. Wrap it up by restating the problem and the proposed solution.
Now, the increase in the value of POS transactions in Nigeria shows the spending patterns of Nigerians and payment preferences as compared to cash payments. However, we will talk about some of the issues that came up when AMBAN paid a visit to the House Committee on Banking and Currency, as well as complaints of theft, counterfeited currency, and training for agents. I'm now being joined by the National Publicity Secretary of AMBAN, Oluwasegun Elegbede. Many thanks for joining us on Business Insight and Plus TV Africa, Oluwasegun.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yes, it is our pleasure. Let's just dive straight into it now. there have been talks as regards fake alert, and the House asked the central bank to introduce stringent regulations for POS business. As an association, AMBAN, so what's your position on this recently? I know you had a briefing concerning that.
Yes, one of the reasons why we had that press conference was actually to put things into the right perspective. Some of those items that were mentioned in the motion actually not as it is. I would say in the motion it was alleged that POS operators, POS agents do fake alerts. For one, I can tell you that actually POS agents are victims of these fake alerts.
Explain, please.
Because it is the bad element in the public that come around pretending that they need cash. And they will tell you they don't have their ATM cards with them. They have perfected this cloning of fake alerts. And then most of the time they visit outlets where the owners of these outlets are not there, where they have, we use some staff. Most of them are school SATs holders. So when they visit, the staff will have to call the boss to know if the boss has gotten value for the transfer the customer claims to have made. And then, they do it in such a way that the owner will say to the staff that you can release cash. And then
but why would the owner say they can release cash when they actually haven't gotten alerts?
Because what they have done is to clone the alert of the banks. And they are suspecting owner of or even the agents. Sometimes they may meet the person himself at his outlet. What happens is that, in the rush to serve this customer, they exchange cash, and after they must have left, they discover that this customer has just come to dupe me. They have gone away. So we are actually victims of this crime, as being said at the house, the floor of the House of Assembly by Honorable Olajide Jimoh. We acknowledge the fact that yes, some of these things happen, but our members are actually victims. Number two that he said is that there are counterfeit notes. Yes, we have received a lot of incident cases from our members across the country where people, they'll come with large sum of money, they want to do quick transfers to get some goods and all of that, and they will wrap fake notes, just few original ones on the top, and they just guard it somehow, and they use this they put pressure on the owner of the outlet to release cash. And these are things that as AMBAN we try to train our members for. How to attend to customer, how not to be under pressure, so that you can be in charge, in control. When the customer walks into your outlet, you are not under his control. You need to be very calm in attending to them, so that you can actually get to see if you are collecting a counterfeit notes.
Let's talk about the counterfeited bills, for one more minute. And, you talked about how your association, that is AMBAN, train members on how they need to, be calm so they don't fall victims. So over time, do you also train your members on how to identify these counterfeited bills when they're being presented to them?
Of course, that is one of the we made in our meetings. We try to let them know the true features of the Naira notes, the different denomination, for them to be able to identify. And then we also have been able to get in some supplies of machines, the small ones at very reduced rates that they can even have at the outlets.
Okay.
And to also use to, validate if the notes they are collecting are counterfeited or not. So this is part of what the association is doing.
Okay, well, let's still talk about the sanity in this particular industry or association, as it were. Because if you look at it now, practically every street, every nook and cranny you go around Nigeria, you see POS operators or agents rather, mounting, their services, operating, sometimes at very, secluded places. Sometimes are just umbrellas and chairs. Some do with the regular kiosk. But what is the standard really, and how do you ensure that there is sanity in the system? Because I also hear that you are starting some sort of a task force.
Let me say this: we are in agreement with the House to have some sort of sanity in our industry, in our business space. We are in agreement with them. If there's any stakeholder in this business space that has been clamoring for this enforcement of guidelines, it is AMBAN. And so we are in agreement of that. And let me say this, in the motion, it was also posited that there are no guidelines. Our business is not an happenstance. It was a deliberate effort of the government to cushion the effect of poverty, and so to also deepen financial inclusion to the last mile. That was why this sector of the business was created. So having said that, there's a guideline. And so we also are of the opinion that the guideline must be strictly enforced. We understand when this started like 10, 11 years ago, before you can become a mobile money or bank agent, you must have a brick and mortar or kiosk. I mean, an address that is traceable, that if anybody has any issue, they can easily. In fact, at that time, you also would need a letter from the community head or your market leader to also identify you, that we know him, because you'll be dealing with the public fund. So what we have today, that we have agents under the umbrella, under the trees, are pure violation of the guidelines. And these are the things that we frown at our level, that if these are not nipped in the bud, we are sitting on the keg of gunpowder. And so the association wants this enforcement of the guidelines that we have, the framework of the CBN. However, what we don't want is that there shouldn't be any disconnect between the government and we that are really at the last rung of the ladder. We want them to sit with us, let them hear from us, so that we can give them the realities that is obtainable out there. They can't just make laws for us when they do not even understand how the business operates. So that is where we are.
Okay. All right, Oluwasegun, I'll take a quick break, but when I come back, I would also need you to, just give us some, clear way to go as regards some gray areas that people have talked about. For instance, there are talks about, the POS merchant always surrounding banks, and they allegedly make the ATMs not to work. It's still Business Insight on Plus TV Africa. We still have Oluwasegun Elegbede with us in the studios. We'll take a quick break and return with more. Do join us again.
Nigeria, by extension, Africa, is faced with a lot of challenges. The growing youth population with little engagement, that is a ticking time bomb. We are a blessed people with diverse culture and highly cerebral minds who have a lot to say. And yes, we are talking. It is important we drive the right conversation that informs, inspires, influences thoughts and action. If we say there's beauty in our diversity, then let us embrace our diverse culture. We must continue to courageously be the voice of transformation, as we are the hope for the future. Yesterday's conversations shape today. What are you saying to shape your tomorrow? We know you have a lot to say, and we are here to hear you.
Welcome back to Business Insight on Plus TV Africa. We're looking at financial inclusion vis-a-vis the operations of mobile money and, of course, bank agents in Nigeria to ensure sanity, because there have been lots of complaints, concerning the operations. And we have Oluwasegun Elegbede with us here in the studios. So, Oluwasegun, let's talk more concerning that. Is there any truth to the fact that these POS operators, they allegedly, it sounds funny though, they allegedly, make, I don't know, maybe some sort of collaboration, or maybe with bank officials, or I don't know. Sometimes you notice that they're always around banks, and somehow the ATMs don't work, and lo and behold, you have the POS agents to your rescue.
Yeah, just like I've said, there are allegations and they are laughable. One of the roles that we have come to play, and then I will say categorically that if all mobile money and bank agents down tools today, the banks cannot handle the traffic that they generate. They cannot.
Because practically most people don't even go for bank for withdrawals or transfers these days.
These days you see people with their shorts just walk out of their room to the nearest outlet to make withdrawals. So the fact is, there are different networks that's the different switches, the banks, ATM, the POS, even with POS A and POS B, there are different switches. You discover that the next outlet will tell you it doesn't have network on its POS terminal. Then you discover that when you go to the next one, you are able to do your transaction. Does it mean the POS A has sabotaged the network of POS B? No. Just like you have for telcos, where you can say there's no network on your own line, and another person will say, I have network here. That is how this operates. It is pure technology. But when you see that people swarm around ATM points, number one, that is even wrong, because you're not supposed to hawk.
Yeah, they're supposed to have the visible locations.
It's a visible location. You're not supposed to hawk. It is not bread and puff. This is financial service. You have to be in a standard location where people come to you, because you must record your transactions. So when you see people walk around, because they know that there's a limit to what they can load in the machines. And then on weekends, most times, the bank staff have gone home. They only come back to check and reload. So at that point, between the time the machine is not dispensing again and the point they are reloaded, that availability gap is what the POS agent that hawk around make use of, or those that even have outlets around the banks. There's nobody sabotaging. The fact is, we have a large population that the banks, as we have them today, cannot cater for.
All right, let's try and understand something else now. You talked about mobile money operators, you talked about bank agents. I'll need you to just give a bit of a differentiation between both of them. And then again, is this an all-commerce affair as it is right now? Or because sometimes you find people ordinarily, it's as though practically everywhere you go, you just see people with POS, even those who do other business, they just put the POS by, on the side, and they also see their agent as well. So I need you to explain the difference between a mobile money operator and, of course, the bank agent or POS agent, as it were, and how accessible is it to just get a POS?
Okay, so there are two set of institutions that are in the are playing in the field. We have the bank-led and the non-bank-led. The bank-led, you have some banks who have the core agency banking structure. They have it. I don't want to begin to mention names. Then you also have the non-bank-led, the MMOs, who also have the license to operate as a player in the industry. So you can get provided by any of these set of institutions. That is one. Number two, it is not an all-commerce affair. It is just because of the enforcement of the framework and guidelines that we're talking about that is not really in place. And that's why we, as an association, we're talking about self-regulation, because we see that things are going down the drain, and we know what efforts some of the pioneers of this business have put in, and we do not want that to go to waste. So it is not an all-commerce affair. Number one, you need to have a visible location. You need to be known. Of course, it's like you're opening a bank account. All the requirements of opening a bank account are required for you to supply it, to have a provider with any of the institutions that you have chosen. And then, of course, there has to be spacing. what we have today is that you see agents cluster around a small area in a place where you just have 50
They seem to be so
residents.
localized.
I mean, one person is serving that 50 people. Then you see that in the next 2 months, another 5 has come. The customers are not increasing.
So how does AMBAN ensure that that does not happen?
That is what the task force that we have inaugurated now, it's going to ensure across the nation. The task force is going to begin to go out. We piloted this last year in Oyo State, and we saw the result. We went out and we saw that many of these agents are just operating. They don't have any record of any kind. You know, and these are things that are just primary requirements. As an agent, you must have your record book where you record your transactions. If anything happens in 2018, then you go back to your record, open it, and I mean, it has saved a lot of people. But what you find out today is that even transaction of yesterday, some agents will tell you they don't have any record for it.
So invariably, they should be keeping records of every transaction.
Every transaction. Any type of transaction, because in transaction we mean withdrawal, we mean deposit, we mean bill payments.
Okay.
So all of these have to be in a proper book with the dates. And that is how you are able to also track your own fund to know if you are making profit or not. So you don't just get into the business just to throw away money. That is what majority of the people are doing out there.
All right. But I know this in so many ways, has helped a lot of unemployed youths, because practically most people wouldn't just want to fold their arms. School leavers have taken, into this particular business. But then again, I need to understand one more thing. Would you say the banks are, in a way, liable, with this issue of proliferation of POS agents all over the place? Because I've heard a school of thought say that most times they just want to meet target, and also they just go about giving POS randomly. Is this true?
Yeah, I would say yes. Not banks alone now. We are the MMOs too.
Okay, the mobile money operators.
If there are people that really have this nonchalant attitude to our approach to enforce the guidelines, I mean, there are some players who will tell their agents, being their principal, they will tell them, don't join AMBAN. And we are telling them, we are not in competition with you. It is for us to have sanity, in the business space, so that everybody will be fine. Now, if all of us come together, as everybody in the value chain come together, we understand the problems that we have, and we see to how we can resolve all of this and have a better business space, better for us. We cannot say, and in all of this, they invest more. And there were times gone by where, some of them were observing these guidelines.
Okay.
But when they saw that some people were not doing same, they joined the fray. I mean, it's now like Banana Republic. That is what we are saying. That is why we are saying we do not want this kind of situation.
All right. We just believe and hope that in a matter of time, a very small time, that these issues that would be adequately addressed, and all of this insanity that we find in this particular sector will be completely be done with over time. We must say a very big thank you to you as well for finding time to join us to look at all of these issues.
Thank you for having me.
All right, indeed, we have been speaking with Oluwasegun Elegbede. He is the National Public Relations Officer of AMBAN, which is the Association of Mobile Money and Bank Agents of Nigeria. Now, that's the size of the show for today. I am Justin Akadunye. Let's do it again next time. Bye for now.
Nigeria's Niger Delta region, from where the black gold fuels Africa's largest economy, where the lines between wealth and poverty has never been thinner. Conflicts, poverty, insecurity, and environmental challenges daily confront the region. How can the Niger Delta story be changed for the better?
Join Mamude Akuga at 9 p.m. every Friday evening on Plus TV Africa as he probes deep in search of solutions.
Inside the Niger Delta with Mamude Akuga, the authentic voice of Nigeria's oil-rich region.
The Nigerian music industry has witnessed growth over the years, and with this growth, a rise in international visibility and dominance. A Grammy Award is any of a series of awards presented each year in the United States by either the National Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences or the Latin Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences. The Grammys, as they are commonly known, are meant to recognize spectacular work in the music industry. In light of Burna Boy and Wizkid becoming the latest Nigerian Grammy Award-winning entertainers, let's take a look at a list of Nigerians who have won a Grammy Award. Sikiru Adekpoju is a percussionist and recording artist and plays primarily in the genres of traditional African music and world music. He plays a variety of instruments and styles. In 1991, he won his first Grammy as part of Mickey Hart's group, Planet Drum, whose title album won the Grammy Award for Best Contemporary World Music Album. That was the first time there was a Grammy in that category. He won again on 8 February 2009 as a part of Mickey Hart's latest group, Global Drum Project. Helen Folashade Adu, known as Shade Adu, is a singer, songwriter, cum actress. She is known as the lead singer of her eponymous band. She holds the title of the first artist of Nigerian origin to win the prestigious award. Her first Grammy was in 1986 for Best New Artist. In 1994, with No Ordinary Love for Best R&B Performance by a Duo or Group with Vocals. She earned her third Grammy in 2002 with Lovers Rock in the Best Pop Vocal Album. In 2011, she won a fourth Grammy with Soldier of Love for Best R&B Performance by a Duo or Group with Vocals. Lekan Babalola is a Nigerian jazz percussionist and musician who started playing the conga at an early age. He has 7 albums to his name and 2 Grammy Awards. In 2006, he became Nigeria's first Grammy Award winner for his work on Ali Fakature's In the Heart of the Moon, which he was credited in 3 tracks. He also won a second Grammy in 2009 for his work on Cassandra Wilson's 2008 album titled Lovely. He began his professional career after joining a band called Samba Samba Band. Cynthia Onyedimasu Erivo is an English actress, singer, and songwriter with Nigerian origins. She is the recipient of several accolades, including an Emmy Award, a Tony Award, and a Grammy Award, and has been nominated for 2 Academy Awards. She gained recognition for starring in the Broadway revival of The Color Purple from 2015 to 2017, for which she won the Grammy Award for Best Musical Theatre Album. She began acting in a 2011 stage production of The Umbrellas of Cherbourg and had a first screen role in the British television series Chewing Gum. Henry Olusegun Adiola Samuel is better known by his professional name Seal. He is a British Nigerian musician, singer, and songwriter, best known for his 1994 hit song, Kiss from a Rose. He has 14 Grammy nominations to his name and has won 4. His song Kiss from a Rose earned him 3 Grammy Awards in 1996 and 2011. He won his 4th award, Imagine. He holds one of the highest numbers of Grammy Awards by a Nigerian. Damini Ebonluwa Okulu, known professionally as Burna Boy, is a Nigerian singer, songwriter, rapper, and dancer. He is one of the biggest and most successful African artists. In 2020, his album Twice as Tall was nominated for the same category at the 63rd Annual Grammy Awards, making him the first Nigerian with back-to-back nominations at the Grammys. In 2021, He won the award for Best World Music Album for his album Twice as Tall at the 63rd Annual Grammy Awards. Burna Boy describes his music as Afrofusion, a genre that blends Afrobeats, dancehall rhythms, reggae, American rap, and R&B. Ayodeji Ibrahim Balogun, known professionally as Wizkid, is a Nigerian singer and songwriter, one of Africa's biggest artists and one of the most revolutionary Afropop artists of the modern era. He rose to prominence after releasing Ola At Your Boy, the lead single from his debut studio album Superstar. In 2016, Wizkid achieved international recognition following his collaboration with Drake on the global hit One Dance. He signed a multi-million-dollar album deal with RCA Records in March 2017. In 2019, he featured on Beyoncé's project The Lion King, The Gift, on the collaboration Brown Skin Girl, which won him a Grammy Award for Best Music Video. The Grammy winner is presently the most streamed Nigerian artist of all time on Spotify, with a total of over 3 billion streams across all credits.
Hello and welcome. On this episode on One-on-One today, I'm speaking with a professional with over 18 years experience. His name is Azeez Abida. Now, those who have worked with him say he possesses strong leadership qualities and management skills. He has worked in about 12 industries, including general management, corporate finance, portfolio management, investment banking, private equity and financial advisory. He's the former CEO of IHS Rwanda, one of the top 10 largest companies in Rwanda with an estimate of 50 million annual revenue. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Abida.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for your time. My first question to you is, you've done all of these things. What are you up to now?
Well, right now I left IHS in September, so I decided to take time to write a book and I consult for a lot of companies now, about 3-4, on structuring themselves for growth and helping them position themselves for funding and the rest. Then also spending some time setting up my foundation to, give back to society as we go. Yeah, so that's more like.
So now that you're in control of your own time, are you busier than when you worked for companies?
Yes. Right now, I can't remember the last time I slept before 3 a.m. I still get my 6 hours daily, but I sleep almost 3 a.m. daily now because you're in control and you just feel like this needs to be done, this needs to be done, this needs to be done, and then you're juggling. Before it was like one company you're working for. Now you're juggling about 3 companies together to make sure, okay, yes, tomorrow morning we need to go for an investor presentation, make sure this is ready, and things like that. So it's much busy now.
Oh, wow. Okay, so every time we hear this word corporate governance, how do we ensure that companies follow through with it? We only just being another tick box exercise.
I think we are beyond the age of corporate governance being a tick box now. It's now companies are looking for, there are very few companies out there that are not looking for funding. And when you talk about those, when you look at the companies that are looking for funding, investors are very focused on those sort of things. You cannot just come to an investor and he says, okay, if I give you money, how do I ensure it's safe? So those are areas that are really becoming more and more critical. So if you treat it as a tick box now, you'll most likely pay for it really big. So corporate governance is extremely important, especially since 2008 when we have this whole financial crisis, and it's been that way since then. So you have US implementing Sarbanes-Oxley and a lot of other policies coming into place to ensure that you can protect stakeholders in a business through corporate governance. So yeah, I don't think any company would ever treat it as a tick box anymore. It would be difficult.
Okay, well, if you say so. Now let's talk about leadership.
Okay.
In Nigeria, everybody goes on about how we have a leadership problem. And every time when we talk about leadership, we look at politicians, we look at government agencies, and we assume that corporate organizations, private-owned companies would do it better. But some of them have leadership challenges. Why?
Well, I would say I think some of them is a big understatement. There is no way you don't have a leadership challenge, one or the other, whether small or big. It's the degree that varies. So if you go to some of the most advanced companies you have in the world, you would be surprised what you find when you get to their leadership. So, but the important factor to understand about leadership is that everyone is always learning on the job. We treat leaders as if they are these super robot human beings that are just there. They can't make mistakes. They would make mistakes, but they make it in different degrees. And a lot of them realize, they take a step back, and then they go forward again. So, but what differentiates a leader from every other person is actually that bird's eye view, that, okay, even if I'm making a mistake, I still see the impact on everything. And then you just start filling in pieces. So you can't really say that there is no challenge of leadership anywhere. Private organizations have a lot, from controlling politics to controlling employee engagement to making sure everybody is equally treated. It's a lot of problems on the leadership side. So yeah, I don't think it's private organizations have it better scenario.
Well,
no.
We all assume they have it better.
I've never assumed that.
Okay, now let's talk also about finding. So this CEO is about to resign. Why is succeeding him always sometimes like a challenge? Why is grooming leaders to succeed people a challenge sometimes?
Well, you can't really know a successor is good until he succeeds. So it's like I always say, if I have you as a staff, you're fantastic at what you do. Then you tell me there's another guy that is behind you. I could tell you, okay, yeah, that guy is there. But the question is, you're going, I know what I get, but I don't know what I'm going to get with the next guy. So it's like an investment. You want to invest in something. Do you know the return? No.
Okay.
So technically, it's a bit difficult to go to the point. So succession planning is always something that would be a problem. So, but what companies are now doing is to make sure that even if we don't know what we're going to get, at least we can pass as much knowledge as possible to the next person. Then you introduce mentors when they take over. Okay, how do you... So like for me, when I was leaving IHS Nigeria to IHS Rwanda, I was director of FP&A for 7 years in Nigeria. Okay. Then I went to Rwanda as CEO. Now, somebody took over after me, and I spent a lot of time saying to the person, okay, how do you need to do this. These are the sort of relationships you need to build. These are the areas you need to go. So that sort of mentorship helps a lot in succession, but it is never risk-free. It's impossible because you still have the ego. You still have a lot of things that comes in place. And then you have the unwillingness of the person that left to give that person the chance to do it. So it's a lot of variables to juggle around. So yeah, it's always going to be a problem.
Is it not possible that beyond, even though of course the leader makes the company, is it not possible to create a system such a way that regardless of the leader, we're able to develop whosoever might want to succeed the CEO or the MD when he's leaving? Is it possible to ingrain it even from when they come, when we take them in as trainees, to ingrain it just before they move up?
Well, yeah, it's possible, but the point is, if you want to test that theory, let's take a country like the US. Most of these guys that are leaders in the US, they go through schools, the best schools in the world, come through one of the best political systems in the world, but do they end up being the best leaders in the world? Not really. You really can't.
Mr. Amida, let's come to our country.
No, but I'm trying to stay away from.
Why? Because I just also feel like Nigeria. So it's fantastic that you made that analysis. They go to the best schools. Yes, it doesn't always mean the same, but like in the schools, in learning, there's some. They're doing projects, they're doing like different things. But Nigeria is, like we say, man no man has brought this person in, whether he has the capabilities or not, whether he has the... I don't even really like to look at degrees, because I always say that degrees is not character at the end of the
true.
day.
I agree with you. And at the same time, I always feel it's a personal journey. What you do as a leader defines a lot about you in terms of what you've... Leadership is something that until you take it, you don't really know how much variables are in front of you. You could look at someone that say, this guy is a leader, he's not so great at what he's doing. It's easy, I can tell you. When I became CEO, I forgave every CEO I've ever worked with in my life. Because there is a lot of work, a lot of things you don't normally see. And someone told me once and said, oh, maybe that's not something, oh, is that something you think you want to do? I said, that's the best experience in my life. I would do it anytime, any day, because it gives you so much. The pressure is huge. The government wants something, they call you. Your boss wants something from your holding company, they call you. Everyone that wants anything relating to that brand would call your name. So it's a really different ball game.
So how did you balance that?
Well, you need to find a lot of balancing everyday stuff. One, I like to distract myself a lot. I like to take myself away from work significantly. I play games, I go play games with my friends, go watch the game. Just do something that takes me away completely from everything. And I play football as much as possible. I do almost every sport that is available to do. But the aim of that is to ensure that I don't have any reason to pressure myself to the point where I can't function. And that's important, because you could really go hard on everything, and then next thing you find out, boom, you're taking it out on the staff, or taking it out on a peer or something. It's really hard to master. So I don't really believe, I believe systems work, but when people take roles, they decide what they do with it significantly. There are controls in place, but they still have a lot of role to play. So that you can't really rule that out, no matter what.
Okay, let's talk about you as a leader. So I'm glad you talked about. So your leadership style, I don't know, you correct me if I'm wrong, you're the one who has been a CEO here. I feel like there's some people that have there's an innate leadership style that they're born with. And then, along the line, as they begin to work and relate with other people and mentors, it changed. So tell us about yours. What's your leadership style and how has it evolved over the years?
Well, I think one thing that stayed constant all through me being in leadership is that if you want to lead people, you need to remove everything they can worry about outside of you. Now, what am I trying to say? I have staffs that will say, if I have a staff and he's worried about taking his kid to school, he can't concentrate. So anything I tell him, he can't do. So for me, my priority anywhere is that my guys that I'm working with, they have to be fine. When I got to Rwanda, I promoted about 35 people who basically some of them have been on roles for 7 years. So it's been because the first thing I could do was to say, it's impossible to tell this guy, go do this for me, when he's worried about how he's going to pay his bills. So you need to understand that everyone has a goal. Everyone wants to send their kid to the best schools in the world. Everyone wants to eat at the best restaurant. So it's not just you. So if you can't make that, I'm not saying just increase salary, boom, and make everything crazy. But the moment I have a budget, this is my budget, this is what I can work with. It is now down to me to say, okay, how can I use this bucket in a way that makes sense to the company and at the same time to the people? So when I was in IHS Nigeria 7 years, and my team was one of the fastest growing teams.
Oh, wow.
I think I had more managers in my team than a lot of departments had in them. So it was basically, my aim was to say, how do I grow the people? Not just growing them because they're not working. So they can now worry about me because I demand performance. So if it's only me you're worried about, then I can take away the rest. Then at least it's fine. Then I can easily say it's balanced in a way. I'm not saying I'm the perfect leader. There will always be faults everywhere here and there. A staff once told me I should go back to school to learn management. It's fine. It's his view. But to me, it's the way I believe people should be led. Give them a reason to want to follow. Because followership is more of a sacrifice than leadership is. Leadership, yes, is mostly imposed. I won't say imposed is not the right word. It's mostly given. You need to have that opportunity to lead. But to follow is actually a default. So it requires you sacrificing your time to be able to help someone else get his goal up.
Okay.
So to me, I don't take that for granted at all. So people is extremely important in my leadership style. But every other thing is left to debate. People can tell me, oh, is this, is that. I don't know. But that is a constant.
Okay, let's take a quick break. We'll take a short break. Mr. Amida is still with us, talking about leadership and leadership challenges in a corporate organization. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us on One on One. I still have Aziz Amida with me, and we're talking about leadership and leadership challenges in corporate organizations. Okay, so you've talked about your leadership style. What will you consider as the critical success factors for a leader?
People. You can't do without it. It's we could. I always say if your worry is about targets, most likely you don't have the right people. If your worry is about a lot of things, people would make everything happen. But if you cannot sort that problem out, it's impossible to conceptualize any other problem, because you will spend your days dealing with, maybe you're overpaying one person compared to the other guy. This guy is not happy. This lady here wants to be somewhere else. You spend a lot of time around. There'll be a lot of friction in the organization. So to me, having the right team that could work together, creating that environment that people could say when they wake up in the morning, they don't feel like they are under any pressure to come to work. I once had two staff who got into a very big conflict, and it lasted for a while. And I remember there was a time I was speaking with the manager. One was a manager, and they were like, one reports to the other. So they were, and I said to her, I said, the important factor for me is that at the end of this whole thing, at no point should this lady feel she doesn't want to come to work. So I'm not going to tell you how to run your team, but just know my concern is that she needs to be happy with the job. So if you feel this conflict makes her happy, it's fine. If you feel it doesn't make her happy, then get it resolved. So it's important to understand that those things they're salient, because one tiny problem can basically wreck the entire chain, because what you do affects what the next person does, and it goes on and on and on like that. So if one person is not functioning well, the whole team can't function.
I feel like I should ask you follow-up questions to that. Like, how do you ensure? Because leadership, like you said, I really don't envy leaders, because leadership is a lot of work.
Yeah.
You're managing someone's not only personality, whatever self-confidence issues they have about themselves, how they were raised, and all of that. And you have to battle and balance that and ensure that you still get, your results at the end of the day, because...
Yeah. Because what has worked for me, because I think I can read people a lot. For me personally, I could almost tell how to deal with you in 2 minutes after talking to you. I could almost tell, okay, with this person you need to be extremely firm. With this person, be soft. With this person, I used to work in an environment where we shout a lot. And there was this lady that was working with me. I never shouted on her for 6 years.
Oh wow, how did you do that?
It would be like, okay, how does it? But to me, that's her personality. She works better when you're able to
explain.
Okay, you know what? Just take it easy. Go do this. Sometimes you get you get angry and you're like, oh wow, what's this? But I never really got into that position where I'm like, unlike some other people, and you're going hard at them. But then the other lady is like, she just comes to work and is like, okay, she comes and then you talk to her calmly. People say maybe it's the way she carries herself, but no, that's her personality. She works better when she's understood, when she's allowed to think. And the moment you put her under that sort of pressure, boom. It's we used to crack this joke about this friend of mine that we work in school together. We're in school, and when you go into an exam, and if that guy is thinking, and you call his name, he has failed.
Oh wow!
He would literally forget everything he wants to write. So everyone in the class will just say, in his exam, just let this guy be. Don't talk to him. Don't do anything. And it works. So your ability, discernment is important in leadership. So these things, they look so small, but they go a long way. People look at you and think, oh, it's just that guy that does it. But no, you're paying attention to all those things, because they are extremely important to you being successful.
Interesting. Okay, let's talk about employee behavior, especially in this era of great resignation.
Okay.
How should leaders, handle that? How should companies handle that now? Because it's almost like people just resigning, they're going into, I was reading a CNN report, and it was talking about how a lot of people, are resigning even from the jobs that are well paid and just, moving on. Was it the pandemic? I don't know. Tell us about it.
Well, that's it has two sides to it. I can't really confirm or say anything about the theory of the Great Resign, but the point I know is that people would always see things from two different angles. So there is the guys who see a different opportunity to go to. They would resign. They will go because human beings are rational. So it is impossible to see a high return and go for a lower one when all things are the same. So every time you look at them, if a man is making a decision, or a woman is making a decision, they are making it because they see a better opportunity in something else. So when this whole Great Resign, it becomes, is a person resigning for something worse than what they had? I don't think so. So the same thing would apply. So, and it comes down to what I said earlier. If you can make people believe and have goals, and you can meet their goals on whatever they are doing, they would always feel that joy to come to work daily. But if it's the other way, if I'm stressed every time I come to work, and I know that I'm probably going to lose my life or something else if I don't pay attention, then I'll leave. So you might call it anything, but the real problem is that everyone leaving any opportunity is leaving to what they believe in their mind is a better one. Whether it turns out to be better is a different thing, but as of the time that decision is being made, that's the background.
All right, interesting. Thank you. Let's talk about work cultures. How do we create sustainable work cultures?
Culture. Culture is hard. Because culture, you build culture from the little things. You build culture over time. You really can't. I've seen people do presentations around building culture, but I don't believe culture is something in Yoruba culture, they say if you want to greet an adult, you bow. If you're younger than someone, you give them a title, basically. Now, how is that relevant? Was that basically a law that was made and say, boom, this is how you relate to this guy? No, we grew up. Oh, I saw this person do it. Then I'm watching. So it's the same way. When in an organization, everyone below anyone is looking at the way you do things. They see you go into a meeting tomorrow and you're on your phone. Okay, maybe it's good to be on the phone. They see you go into, it's those little things. Culture is actually one of the things you contribute to in the subconscious a lot compared to any other thing. Processes you can draw on visual. Culture is a conscious effort towards little things to say, okay, as management, we want to do this way. When we go into the meetings, do we want to put our phones on the side so people see us that we do this? So it requires a lot of deliberate effort to make happen. So yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the pandemic. It's been 2 years, 2022, 2020. Lessons you've taken from the pandemic.
We must be ready to change. There is no one way to achieve any goal. We're glued to the office before now.
Yeah.
We need to do it from here. If we're not in the office, we're not productive. But then, most of us have found significant productivity from home. Basically, I particularly, working from home has been amazing for me. It's been, I could spend more time with my daughter, I could spend more time with my wife, and at the same time still focus on work. Unlike before, that time is, if I replace the time in traffic in Lagos with the time with family, you could almost double your income. When I used to live in Egbeda, I drive to Marina every day. And I leave the office at 5, get home at 10. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, why am I doing this to myself? You spend 5 hours. So if my hourly rate is, let's say, even if I make 300,000 a month, it means my hourly rate comes down to about, if I'm not mistaken, that's about 800 naira an hour. 800 naira per hour comes down to 5 hours. That's literally 4,000 bucks. If you look at it over a month, you're almost paying your rent. So the question becomes, that time alone, if that guy spent it focusing on what matters, he would produce more for the company. So yeah.
Okay. So for you, Mr. Amida, any regrets, any things that you wish you could have done differently?
I wish I could have been a bit more. You make how do you call it? This is a very difficult question to answer because regrets are very hard to acknowledge, more or less. But I think I didn't go through my career with a lot of humility, basically. I wish I could have learned humility earlier in life.
Okay.
To say, I learned it the hard way as I grew up, but I wish I could have been, a bit more. If you ask people that work with me early on in my career and people that work with me much later, you'll see a very different divide in the way it works. Maybe some might still have different opinions, but yeah, that's to be more humble, but at the same time, network more, create more relationships. There are a lot of relationships over the years that are basically allowed to, like, okay, you know what, maybe this person is here or there.
Our time is fast spent, but I cannot but help ask this last question. What difference did you notice in working in Rwanda and working in Nigeria? What was the shocking, should I say, difference? Was there like any?
That's like day and night.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Nigeria is like brash. We like to get it done now.
Aggressive, yes.
Rwandese they're not confrontational like us. So when there's conflict, they back down. So you need to be able to manage their position a lot. And I always say, in Rwanda, anger is your last resort a lot of times. You need to basically, is at the very end of the line. Nigeria, we get angry at each other. We understand. We just feel it's work. We move on. But when you get angry with the Rwandese, you might not forget it easily. It's not because it's just the way we're built. We're built differently.
I think in the entire continent, Nigerians are aggressive.
I think Nigerians are very aggressive, but a lot of other countries also have that aggression. But because we go into the English line when we communicate, people tend to, like in Rwanda, people are not quiet when they are speaking Kinyarwanda. I think Rwandese are very loud when they're speaking Kinyarwanda. But as loud as Nigerians are. But when you go English, because it's not the comfort zone, it's a bit easier to, back down. But when you see Rwandese talk to Rwandese, you're like, okay, are they fighting? Are they not? It's really different.
Did you pick up on the language while you were there?
Well, the only one I know is that Oya in Lagos means let's go.
Oh.
In Rwanda, it means no.
Oh, really?
Yes. So when you say Oya, just know you're telling the person no. Meanwhile, your plan is to say let's do it.
Let's go.
So it's one of the areas I found very. But yeah, I learned a bit of Kinyarwanda here and there, but not very good.
Okay, my director to me. One last question: top business priorities or top priorities leaders, and I think even everyone should look out for in 2022.
I think 2022 will be a very productive year because we've been it's like a jet engine when it is boosting and it's about to launch. We've been doing this work from home / adjusting to the pandemic for about 2 years now, and it's now time for you to start seeing the benefit of that. People are now getting more and more used to the fact, and now they can produce the best of it. So I think the best things to look out for in 2020 will be huge productivity, if you ask me. I'm not a professor of econometrics that has modeled this out, but I can tell you that from what I know about behavioral science and how people tend to produce, this is a time where businesses will start seeing a lot of drive towards new levels. Well, those that are willing to adapt to it anyway. So, but yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Azeez Amida.
Most welcome.
I still have a lot of questions, but we're out of time.
It's not a problem.
I think I'll ask you behind the scene. Thank you very much for your time. And that's all we can take on 101 today. I hope you have listened and learned as much as I can. So until I see you again next week, my name is Femona Ajekwe.
It for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bukky November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Good afternoon. I am Adebanke Odunuri, and this is the news update. The Higher of Ife, Ondo, is blocked this morning as members of the community are protesting a one-year power blackout. The community said the governor, Boyega Oyetola, had promised them during his last visit that the power would be restored in 100 days.
The community has been in total darkness for 12 years. The government has been promising they are going to do it at a cycle of 4 years. Whenever they come to campaign, they are going to promise that they are going to do it. Then the 4 years will go, another 4 years will go. It's close to 12 years now. So, and we plan that another election year is coming. So if we should allow them to come back again to tell us that they are going to do the light, it will make a cycle of 16 years. That is when we are now sensitizing our people about the political apathy. We don't have interest in the government since the government cannot provide what we need. So the government of the day came to us on the 29th of June last year. So by the 29th of this month, it's going to make a year that they are going to reconstruct the light. They are paying the contractor, and they are probably know that within 100 days that we are going to get back our light. So, and that 100 days is now going to 365 days. So that is why we are outside telling the whole world that a community as big as this has been in total darkness for straight 12 years. We've been living in darkness. And I would, if my memory serves me right, there was actually a time that one of the political aspirants going for Senate actually put on the light in a space of just 1 week. Okay, he gave us light, then the light went off immediately after the election. So these are where we're actually drawing our conclusions from. If they really want to get this thing done, it is very easy. There's greed here. We've been having lights for some time, proud to when the blackout started.
The Ondo State Governor Rotimi Akeredolu has cancelled this year's Democracy Day celebration in honor of those who lost their lives during the terrorist attack on worshippers at the St. Francis Catholic Church, Owo, on Sunday. Akeredolu announced this in a series of tweets on his Twitter handle, saying the cancellation in the state was to allow Ondo people mourn the deceased. The state government had given a new casualty figure from the terrorist attack on worshippers at the church as 127, with 40 confirmed dead. Nobel laureate and renowned playwright Professor Wole Soyinka has described the attack on St. Francis Catholic Church, Owo, Ondo State, where many worshippers were killed as a message to the entire people of Southwest. Soyinka, who made his view known while paying a condolence visit to Governor Rotimi Akeredolu over the terror attack, said it was targeted at the governor who has been showing leadership in terms of internal liberation of his people. Akeredolu, in return, thanked the Nobel laureate for his visit, saying that the state would remain hugely indebted to him. An Akure High Court sentenced the killers of Mrs. Funke Olakunri, daughter of Afenifere leader Pa Ruben Fasoron Tate, to death by hanging. The convicts, including Mohammed Sheikh Usman, Masaje Lawal and Adamu, were sentenced to death by hanging or firing squad by Justice Williams Olamide for offences ranging from conspiracy to murder, kidnapping and armed robbery. The fourth accused person, Awalu Abubakar, was discharged and acquitted for aiding and abetting. Mrs. Olakunri was killed in July 2019 along Ore Ijebu-Ode Road in Odigbo, local government area of Ondo State, when she was on her way from Akure to Lagos to attend a social function.
Yes, this judgment is a judgment that is for the common masses of this country that are highly disturbed by the wave of killings in the land. This judgment has put an end to so many cases of unresolved murder and killings that have been taking place not only in the southwestern part of Nigeria and part of this country, where innocent people are daily killed.
The verdict and the judgment of the court has been delivered in this case. We appreciate the court for the diligence of the court in this case. You also observe that one among the defendants was exonerated by the court from the judgment of the court. In the interim, we're going to take a critical look of the judgment of the court. We're going to diagnose it look at area where issues can be formulated, issue of appeal can be formulated.
Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike has directed the Attorney General of the state and Commissioner for Justice to write a strong-worded protest letter to the Economic and Financial Crime Commission (EFCC) over the harassment of the state's People's Democratic Party governorship candidate Siminalayi Fubara. Governor Wike, who gave the directive at the Executive Chamber of Government House, Port Harcourt, after swearing in 3 new commissioners, maintains that the attempt to harass the state PDP candidate will not be accepted, as the state government will not hesitate to charge the EFCC for contempt.
Let me also say that you use this opportunity to write a strong protest letter to the chairman of EFCC that we are not in the era of impunity. There's a period of obeying the rule of law. The attempt to harass Bacanda General will not be accepted by this government. If not, we will charge them for contempt. Apart from that, the Counter General has another judgment against EFCC to enforce its fundamental right. And we're in a political position, we're in a political period. People should not think that they will use the FCC to come and intimidate or manipulate, and nobody will accept that.
Governor Wike further directed the Attorney General and the Commissioner for Justice to commence diligent prosecution of the illegal financial dealings of the former Rivers State Governor Chibuike Rotimi Amechi, Tony Cole, Sahara Energy, and others over the sale of state assets.
Luckily, you came in at that time when we have 5 preferred charges, criminal charges against the former governor, Sahara, Tony Cole, and the rest of them. We have preferred criminal charges at the State High Court. So you are coming at the right time to take over the matter, to make sure it is prosecuted diligently. I don't want to hear excuses. Diligently. Let the people see what happened with our money. How $50 million from our account moved to a company without nothing to show whether there was business, whether there was this and that. $50 million. And I want to comment to all of you that you have shown commitment, you've shown hard work, you've shown loyalty. And for me, that's the only way to pay back the people who have shown, in spite of all odds, they are still there with you.
Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has deployed an additional 209 voter enrollment machine to 5 southeastern states, Lagos and Kano, to ease the congestion at the ongoing continuous voter registration CVR centers. The commission, in a statement by its National Commissioner and Chairman Information and Voter Education Committee in Abuja, stated that the commission received reports from states indicating an unprecedented surge in the number of citizens that wished to register as voters and the challenges they faced across the country. The commission said that the reports indicated that in some states, sudden turnout of prospective registrants was overwhelming. And in other parts of Africa, the new cabinet in Guinea-Bissau has taken the constitutional oath in Bissau with 24 ministers and 12 state secretaries sworn in as members. Foreign Minister Carla Barbosa and Interior Minister Bocht Kande remained in their post in the government led by Prime Minister Nuno Gomez Nabiam, while the Education, Natural Resources and Energy ministers were dismissed 24 hours after their appointment was announced. President Umaru Sissoco Embalo dissolved parliament on May 16th for alleged corruption and undermining state organs. And outside Africa, U.S. President Joe Biden and fellow leaders from the Western Hemisphere have rolled out a new set of measures to confront the regional migration crisis, seeking to salvage an America summit roiled by Division. 20 countries joined Biden for a ceremonial unveiling of the plan. The announcements are part of a U.S.-led pact dubbed the Los Angeles Declaration and aimed at creating incentives for countries taking in large numbers of migrants and spreading responsibility across the region. The declaration encompasses commitment by an array of countries, including Mexico, Canada, Costa Rica, Belize, and Ecuador.
20 countries coming together to launch the Los Angeles Declaration on Migration and Protection. With this declaration, we're transforming our approach to managing migration in the Americas. Each of us is signing up to commitments that recognizes the challenges we all share and the responsibility that impacts on all of our nations. And the past few years, the global economic crisis triggered by COVID-19 pandemic is now made worse by Russia's war in Ukraine and the political turmoil from autocracies, regimes in our region, has led to record levels of migration. Los Angeles Declaration is built around 4 core pillars. First, stability and assistance, making sure communities that are welcoming refugees can afford to care for them, to educate them in their education, medical care, shelter, and job opportunities.
And in business news, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, is now set to introduce the unstructured supplementary USSD code as part of steps to improve the central bank digital currency CBDC. The Deputy Governor of the CBN, Kingsley Obiora, at the IMF African Department Speakers Series held virtually, said the introduction of the USSD code became necessary to improve financial inclusion in the country and to ensure people without smartphones could still transact on the eNaira platform. The CBN Deputy Governor said that the barrier to entry on the CBDC platform was low, which made it possible for everyone with a bank verification number to be onboarded into the eNaira platform in a few minutes. And in business news, Russian punk band Pornofilmy and Ukrainian pop rockers Nervy are performing together on a charity tour entitled Stand With Ukraine. They say profits from the concerts, the latest of which took place in the Polish city of Gdansk, will be donated to organizations helping war-affected Ukrainians and used for the purchase of medical equipment. The tour, which also features Russian rapper Face, was initiated by Nervy frontman Zenia Milkovsky, who was born in Pokrovsk in Ukraine's Donetsk region and has been living in Moscow since 2014 after signing with a Russian label. In the sport news, Stephen Curry erupted for 43 points as the Golden State Warriors battled back to defeat the Boston Celtics 107-97 to even the best of 7 finals series 2-2. Curry hit his 8th three-pointer of the game with less than 2 minutes to go to give the Warriors a 6-point cushion they would not relinquish. Andrew Wiggins provided crucial support for Curry, scoring 17 points and grabbing up a career-high 16 rebounds while playing excellent defense.
We're on the road and keep some life in the series, get a home court advantage back, and try to create some momentum our way. It was a hard-fought win. I think our first quarter really set the tone. Even though we were down 1, there's night and day difference between Game 3 and Game 4, how we came out defensively.
Incredible. Put us on his back, willed us to a win, much-needed win. Game we had to have. Came out and showed why he's one of the best players that ever played this game. And why this organization has been able to ride him to so much success. It's just absolutely incredible.
Well, everybody was emotional tonight. I mean, we, down 2-1, we had to come out with some desperation, more physicality than we showed in Game 3. So it was a team-wide sense of aggression and emotion, and that started right from the opening tip. So, Steph obviously
For more stories, please follow us on our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel at Plus TV Africa and Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. I am Adibanke Odunui. Thank you for watching.
There is no voting on social media. To vote, you would require permanent voter's card. To get your PVC, visit cvr.inecnigeria.org. Create your account with a valid email address and start the registration process. An activation link will be sent to you. Click on the link and activate your account. Fill out the form, pick and submit a convenient date and time for your biometrics. Print the application slip, which should have your QR code. On the appointed date, go to the nearest INEC office for your biometric capturing. Thereafter, you will get a registration slip to pick your permanent voter's card when ready. Get your PVC today. This message is from Plus TV Africa.
The Nigerian film industry has continued to gain popularity across the continent and on the global stage. Even with its popularity and growth, it is still to be criticized on many fronts, one of which is that it is a quantity-driven industry as opposed to a quality one. Stakeholders have given certain factors for churning out substandard movies. Some have said budget restrictions, weak plots, repetitive dialogue, and the overwhelming lack of public-private partnership, not leaving out government participation. Since 2010, some positive developments have changed the nature of Nollywood. They include an influx of professional filmmakers, the rise in international festival and cinema tours, international premieres, collaborations with multinational companies, Pan-Africanism and distribution via multiplexes. In this time, a film's release on VCD, DVD began to happen later in its life, effectively disenfranchising Nollywood's traditional mass-market consumer base. The question I am interested in answering are Nollywood's filmmakers becoming more specialized in their art? And was it gentrifying? I use the word metaphorically to explore whether Nollywood increased in grandeur, appeal and acceptance amongst Nigeria's upper class. Hence, leading to fast rise in features of skit makers, brand influencers, and basically anyone with a little bit of fame. And has this become the domino effect, catapulting skit makers and brand influencers into a whole lot of fame?
Put your card number here.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes, my dear.
Thank you,
yes,
sir.
Let me send something to you.
Oh, I actually think I remember, sir.
Eh?
Opopo Tomongo.
Yeah!
Yes, sir.
You remember the conference?
Yes, I do.
You will go far.
Yes,
you will go far, my dear.
Well, the Nollywood structure has been of concern to many veterans, and one of them is Saeed Balogun.
I will appeal to the government to give us structure. And the government don't have problem. It is we movie makers. They tend to do riots in the state, carrying placard. It is the National Assembly that should give me a structure. Are they trying to make me powerless? Is it a dictatorship style of ruling? They don't know what to do. The question I ask myself at times is, that honorable that is in charge of culture and code that can give me structure, does he know anything about movies? He's just looking for where to be. He doesn't even know. It is one we have a lot of us that can bring the revolution. About 5 or 6 of us in the assemblies, we can scream, we tell them, God damn you, you know what I'm suffering, you know what I'm going through now, so speak my language. But if you tend to put one honorable man there who was elected, who was and probably mechanical engineer or an economist or something, who doesn't even know my pain, we can't get it right. It is the structure. After the structure, yeah, the investors can now smile, because if you invest in me, put money on my table, I mean, there, you want me to put food on my table, put in billions and I give you back millions or thousands, will you come back some other time? No. When the government gets it right, the investors, please, if they are coming, I always tell them, please invest in me in what I can pay back. I am the president of the Golden Movie Ambassadors of Nigeria. We believe in restructuring, repositioning, and getting everything right. An ambassador means you can represent your country everywhere. That is where professionalism comes in. A lot of people are just coming in from everywhere. We have more than 50 associations, 31 performing. What we're looking for, and why can't we be one? A professionalism can come in when you have a strong structure that can guide it.
New talents are essential for growth and encourage new faces into the industry, but proper training is vital for theatre and, of course, film.
Training is critical, but we need to create a platform that gives everybody the opportunity to be trained, and then also we need to look at also some means of internship on productions, take people on and guide them, and show them how to do what you do. If we look at theatre itself, it's a massive training ground for talents that will end up even on screen. I think training is important, but then a lot of people learn on the job, which is good. But I think where we would get it right is if production houses, also attempts to train, give basic training to people that are not necessarily trained, that are venturing into the industry. You have actors, there are people that are good, they are not trained actors, but on their own, like you said, skit makers, they didn't go to anywhere, but their skits are so evolved that they have so many people looking forward to see what next they are going to do, and then you see that you can hone their skills and use them, but then again, it is a factor of the industry having that capacity to train, having the infrastructure to train. A lot of these people would want to, if the opportunity is there, gain more knowledge on how to do film, how to be better actors or producers or things like that, but then we need to have that platform that gives them the opportunity. That's one. And two, production companies also should look at ways of, even at times some training do not necessarily have to be formal. They could be informal through internships and things like that. And then skit makers also, at times when they've made so much fame, they are popular, and they feel they have arrived. But no, there are certain basics you still need to learn. At times you should learn also to try and hone your skills so you can be better. That you are popular now does not mean you cannot do better things. Milking that popularity that you have gained now through the skits you do, which we notice a lot of people don't do. A lot of directors will just allow you to do your thing. I've heard of a set where the director just say, okay, read the line, or yeah, do your thing, but at times you should be able to tell somebody, this is what I want you to do, this is the way I want it to be. That helps with the quality. The next thing I'll look at is casting. People cast for the wrong reason. It is good to cast with the mind that this person is going to draw eyeballs or is popular, hopefully the person will help with publicity. It is good, but when you look at certain characters and you know that you need somebody to deliver top-notch performance, and then that character is unique in that way, it's not something you can just cast anybody because of the numbers, and you overlook that fact and you just put someone that cannot deliver on the character because you think the person has got numbers, then that drags the quality of the production.
It is not acceptable for popular faces to just go on and start filming without necessary kinds of training. For us in Actors Guild of Nigeria, it's something we totally abhor and we condemn. So you find that sometimes before you catch them, they are finished making the film. So we are gradually working with the censors board in Nigeria to see that some of these things are put to a stop. You must have a certain level of qualification. Even if you have graduated from school and you have not done this business before, you still need some kind of elementary approach where you will be given some ideas, instructions on what to do before joining the Nollywood industry. It's not all about I can act, I cannot act. Sometimes you see these popular people, when they come to set to act, they don't know terminologies of the industry. when you tell somebody who is acting and you say the director says cut, he doesn't know or she doesn't know what cut means. You understand? All of these things are the rudiments of the industry that they needed to go through. But because we're in a country where everything goes, people don't seem to follow rules and regulations, but we are gradually closing in on them.
With the advent of internet, social media, and instant entertainment platforms, many reality TV stars and skit makers have risen to fame. In this part of the world, becoming a top celebrity is either by hard work, persistence, or through reality shows. As we know that the road to fame is a tough one around here, a few of our top Nigerian celebrities credit their prominence to reality shows which have given them the opportunity. One of them is Seyi Awolowo, who didn't see it as a challenge for the Nollywood to cast popular faces in movies, as long as the directors have a sense of direction and vision they hope to achieve in the movie.
Well, I don't see why not. Everybody is entitled to be able to do what it is that they want to do. Only thing is when it becomes constant and if there's a regulatory body involved, if it's a constant thing where they've literally become constant film and they need to be registered, okay, then they can go and do that. But I believe that everybody should have, I don't see any reason why I will not put who I want to put in my own production when I want to put them in my production. I mean, I see that person to fit the role accordingly, to fit the character, Bible properly. So why not I'll bring the person on board? So I don't see anything wrong with it, as such. It just depends on who's creating movie and whose movie it is. Sometimes you want a particular kind of thing, but you're not willing to give. Give what you take or take what you give, how to speak. If you're going to be professional to the T. Follow your this thing and not along the line I want to start using or there's a sentiment of, now help us to make it known. If you start a particular kind of way, go all the way down to the end. Professionalism in the industry, I can't say varies from companies to companies or from different organizations to organizations, how professional they are, or their motto, or their modus operandum of how they want to handle things. So, that's the thing. For me now, I can just have a laid back working environment where I want everybody wearing shorts and t-shirt and being more laid back as to probably just someone that wants everybody in a tie. And so it just depends on, the modus operandi of that particular organization that is handling the production of whatever movie or, that is handling that particular production for the time being while you are working, if you get what I'm saying.
There are regulatory bodies, but do they really carry out their duties? How do they manage professionalism in the Nollywood industry?
For us, we have a constitution that we're working with, but we're trying to come up with the memorandum of understanding in the industry, whereby even if you are involved in any show or something where you have been elected as maybe highest winner and all of that, you would need to still pass through 1 or 2 trainings and then belong to a group, either as a producer or as an actor, before you are practicing in the industry. Yeah, professionalism, without being political here, every industry needs professionalism. For us in Nollywood, we are grappling with that because the Nollywood industry is the industry that started without entry point and without exit point. And it continued to grow without anybody checking it. Now it has grown beyond bounds that wherever you are coming with discipline, it becomes like it's too difficult to instill discipline among practitioners because there were no laid down rules from beginning. There were no laid down rules from beginning. There were a lot of illiterates. There were a lot of people who didn't go to school. There were a lot of people who didn't see the 4 walls of any school, but because they are talented, they have made it big and they are now in the industry. So it's a Herculean task at this point. So we're calling on people who have been here before in the industry to so come back and say, look, this is getting out of hand. We have to come back to the basis. Let's see where we structure. Every actor, every producer, every director, you must belong to where your people are. Let us begin to see places. We need professionalism so I don't just do things out of proportion.
The Nollywood industry is a growing work in progress, and the Nigerian Film Censors Board needs to enforce the parameters that positively influence the creative processes from writing a screen to post-production. Is this body efficiently empowered to ensure professionalism in Nollywood? Well, hope we find answers soon.
For domestic violence.
Hello and welcome to Tea Time Roundup on Plus TV Africa, where the big stories live. Here is another update on the past week of the fun-packed entertainment discussions from your favorite celebrities. Do stay tuned. You don't mix this. I am Belema.